Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. Today we are going to be using some new products, the Sweet Spring Mice, and some old products, which is the Rainbow Wishes Stamps and Dies, the Radiating, or Radiant, I think it's Radiant Stencil, and then super throwback is the Outdoor Builder Scene, which is a fantastic stencil set if you have not purchased it. So here is how this card came about. I really wanted to use the Sweet Spring Mice. Thought they were adorable, and St. Patrick's Day is coming up and I wanted to use this little mouse holding the four-leaf clover. But I couldn't really get an idea going. I was having a hard time coming up with an idea. And then I was scrolling through, I think it was Facebook, might have been Instagram. I follow people for card making on both, so I'm not really sure. And my friend Heather Rue had done a super amazing rainbow background with like glittery hearts on it, and it was super pretty, and I was like, rainbow, yes, a rainbow, I can make that work. So that is how I came up with the idea for the card, and I think it came out super cute. So I decided to do a slimline just because I felt like it would fit my pieces parts the best. And so I'm putting in the grasses here at the bottom. I used Twisted Citron, Mowed Lawn, and Lucky Clover because I'm going to be honest, I felt like if I was making a St. Patrick's Day card, I would be remiss to not use Lucky Clover as one of my Distress ink colors. And then I'm going to take the Cloud stencil from the Outdoor Stencil Builder, whatever it is. It'll be linked below. You know what I'm saying, people. And I'm going to create just a series of clouds that kind of come down the card. There's also mountains in there. What is the other one? I can't remember, but there's 4 of them, and they're very good for building scenes if you like to do that, like I do. So they're not, every layer isn't going to be as dark, and I keep kind of turning it just so that there's some added interest in the clouds. You could do more or less depending upon what kind of look you're going for, but since I had such a large area to fill with the clouds, I just kind of went for it and just filled up the whole thing, and I was fine with it. So yeah, as far as today goes, so I had a completely different story time planned, and I'm going to tell you that I know that some of you had asked in my previous video about Molly and what her diagnosis was, and that was originally what I had intended to talk about, but things changed. Things changed because my day changed, and so we will talk about Molly and what is going on with her in maybe the next video, as long as, you know, something else super exciting doesn't happen. So if you have not watched my videos before, we're kind of going to go back and forth between story time and what is happening in the card. I try to strike a balance between sharing my life and my personality with you guys and giving instruction on how to do the card. So here with the background, I think this is super pretty as is, and you could totally do 1 million different cards with this. Or you could just leave it as is and put a sentiment on it. But I didn't do that because I wanted to use my rainbow and my cute little mouse. So here I'm just stamping down the rainbow onto the background because I need it for the placement of the stencil. And so here I have a mask. I used Eclipse masking paper to stamp the rainbow down and then trim it out. And then I really just need to mask off, or I just need the top portion of it open. So here I'm kind of lining that up. And then I realized that my stencil was not that sticky. And I like to use Tombow Mono multi-glue on the back of my stencils. Now, real talk, this is not for everybody. But I like to do that because then I don't have to tape it down. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding the Tombow Mono multi-glue in the center and around the edges. I'm going to tap it with my fingers a couple of times, kind of wave it around in the air for a minute or so to make sure that it's dry and just tacky. And then I'll check it with my hands again before I put it down on the card, because if you put it down while the glue is still wet, it will adhere permanently. So here I'm using my purple tape just to kind of mask the top and the bottom because I don't want my glimmer paste to go anywhere else. And this is the, why can't I remember the name of it? Moonstone? Yep, glimmer paste moonstone. And so it's just like a clear glitter. You could use really any color you wanted, or you could do the glitter like rainbow colors. That would be the cat's pajamas, quite honestly, but I don't have enough colors to do that. I wonder if you could color them with 3 inkers. Maybe we'll try that in another video. But that's not what happened here. Here we just used it as clear. I thought it would be pretty to have some glitter radiating from behind our rainbow. I mean, really, glitter radiating anywhere, I think, would be very pretty. But that's what I did here. And then I'm going to remove my stencil and remove my masks. One thing with the glimmer paste that you do want to note is you have to clean it immediately, like immediately, because it will dry on there and then you will never, and I do mean never, you will never get it off. It will be there forever, ever, ever, ever. So clean your things immediately. Clean your little palette knife and clean your stencil right away. So while I set that aside to dry, I went ahead and did my stamping. I'm stamping my rainbow, and I'm stamping the sun from the Rainbow Wishes set because I need it to make my rainbow, right? Also, I needed it for my card balance. That's really why I stamped it. And then my sweet little mouse with his 4-leaf clover, or her 4-leaf clover, however you want to look at it. And then we're going to get into the coloring. Yeah, pretty simple. The only detailed coloring I really did was on the the mouse and the 4-leaf clover, because that's really like kind of the star of the show. I didn't do any additional shading to the rainbow. I just filled it in with colors. So what happened today, the change story time? Let me tell you. If you have been listening to my channel, you would know that Peanut recently, beginning of the year, wanted to join a basketball league. And so he did, and we have games every weekend, though he was sick last weekend, so we missed that game. But probably about the second game or the third game, I may have told you about this when it happened, he got the ball for the first time in the game. And because the coaching has been meh, they're very kind and they're very encouraging, but teaching the fundamentals of the game has been a little bit of a struggle. And so when he finally got the ball, he got it after the other team scored. He did not know that he had to take the ball out of bounds and then pass it back in. So when he got the ball, he just took off with it. The ref blew the whistle on him because obviously the ball could not be played at that point. It needed to be taken out of bounds. And he was upset because he got embarrassed. Now, I am obviously empathetic because he is my child. And so I feel for him, but I am more so because I know that he gets that from me. I was embarrassed very early on when it came to organized sports when I was in elementary school by a gym teacher. So our class, I still vividly remember this, and I was probably Nathan's age. And so now 30 years later, like I can remember it like it was yesterday. We were playing baseball, and it was my turn. I was up to bat, and basically I got laughed at. So then the next time that I was up to bat, I refused to do it. And she was like, you have to bat. And apparently she didn't know me and how stubborn I can be. There was a battle of the wills. I stood there. I was embarrassed. I stood there crying in front of my entire elementary school class, but I refused to bat. And eventually she ended up sending me to the principal's office because I would not do what she told me to do. And really, I never played organized sports since then. Just because I don't like people looking at me. I'm easily embarrassed. Which I'm sure kind of surprising to some people because my personality is so open. There's a lot of things that I'm not embarrassed about, but when it happens, it's bad, and I immediately start crying. And really, not much of it has changed as I've gotten older. That's still pretty consistent. And so when that happened to Nathan and he got embarrassed in his game, he did start crying. And then he didn't want anything to do with the ball. And that's pretty much the way that it's been since then. And we've talked about it a couple of times. And, I guess he didn't want to, it kind of soured basketball for him. And so we've talked about it. I know Eric's talked to him about it. His dad's talked to him about it, that it's not a big deal. He didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't know any better. And, there was nothing to be embarrassed about. But I still get it. I mean, I understand how he feels. But like most parents, I want my child to do better than me. And so because I was embarrassed at a very young age and I never played organized sports, after that, really, I probably did myself some sort of disservice because there were maybe some sports. I did run track, but that's not a team sport. Like, it is, but it isn't. So that one was a little, I guess I found a way to overcome that, but I didn't want him to feel like he couldn't play just because this one time this one thing happened, but that really wasn't even his fault because he didn't understand. So we've talked about it several times and, kind of worked on it. And then last night when he was going to bed, he told me he didn't want to go to basketball. This was the second time I put him to bed because he kept getting back up. But he said he didn't want to go play basketball. His throat hurt again, which I knew was not true. And he just didn't want to go. And I told him, I said, you made a commitment. I said, if you don't want to, try to get the ball or try to, make a shot or whatever, that's on you, but you still have to go. You still have to play, defense and offense. You still have to be there for your teammates because you said that you would. So you have to go and be a member of the team. And so today, he did play his basketball game and, like my my whole family and Eric's everybody was there, and it just happened to be because so he has 3 games left in the season, and so we go to all of his games obviously, but like sometimes my parents come, sometimes Eric's parents come, sometimes his dad, his other set of grandparents, sometimes they come, sometimes like my sister-in-law has come, so like various times. But this time my mom and dad were there, Eric's mom and dad were there, both of my sisters were there, so it was like there was like this big group gathering, and so they're playing, and I'm gonna be honest, their team is not great. They are not a stellar team by any means, but they're out there and they're trying and they're having fun, and that's the part that is important. And so at some point in the game, I'm on the sidelines, Caitlin's in her little stroller, Eric's standing behind me. And so Nathan gets the ball and like he takes the shot and like it's kind of like bouncing around up there and finally goes in, and I'm like I hate organized sports. Like I'm not even going to pretend like I don't. I understand how they bring people together, and I understand like the team building, and that's super important. But I think as far as like athletes, I think they get paid far too much money when there's other things in the world that we could be spending that money on that are far more important. Like, I don't know, feeding hungry kids. But moving on. So I could not control, I mean, I'm telling you, I could not control myself. I literally jumped in the air, like yelled for him, was clapping. I was like teary-eyed, proud mom moment. And I have to tell you, like, because jumping for me is a real risk. Like, I have 2 children. Every time that I jump, sneeze, cough, or laugh really hard, like, I'm running a risk. We know this. But I could not help myself. Like, I was so happy for him. I was so proud of him for getting back out there and trying it and, doing more than I did, with my fear and my embarrassment. And it was just such an awesome moment. I was so just overcome like with pride for him for being scared of being embarrassed, for and doing it anyway. Like, oh my gosh, if that's not parenting goals, like to teach your kids that it's okay to be afraid and to try it anyway. Yeah, just absolutely like so thrilled. And then after the game, and he got the ball again and he took another shot, and that one he missed, but that's okay because he wasn't afraid to get the ball and to make a move. And so after the game, like, I gave him a big hug and told him I was so proud of him. And he was like, because I made the basket. And I told him, no, I'm proud of you. I'm glad that you made the shot and I'm glad that you scored because obviously like that will help him, to build his confidence, which is also important, and to, get back out there and try again. But told him I was proud of him for trying, for putting in the effort and for taking the shot, even though he might not make it. I was proud of him for trying, and I am. That is genuine. Added bonus that he scored some points, and they did end up losing the game, but ultimately I don't really care. But I'm happy that my baby had a good day. So back to the card. So I have colored all the things, and here what I'm doing is I wanted to create this scene. And at first I thought, okay, well, how am I going to stamp this mouse so that I can just use the clover? And then I realized it wouldn't make any sense if they were all that big. So I decided to create the clover. And how I'm doing that, instead of doing my normal grasses, what I'm doing is I'm just laying down the marker on its side. So that creates the little clover shapes as you put, 3 or 4 of them together. And I did it with the darkest color, which I think was maybe I didn't go with the darkest. I think maybe I went with the G07. Maybe I went with the G07 or G05. And then I went with the YG03 and then the YG01 until it was all filled in. And you can see me turning my paper there quite a bit. And that was just to get the better angle to lay it down. But I do think it looks like a little area of clover. And I think that that's super cute. So I'm just laying my die cuts. I decided to use the new Smile die cut and its matching sentiments. And so here I'm just laying the smile there so I know where to stamp the other part. But since I was going to be doing some foam, I didn't want that to be in the way of my stamping. I did end up having to stamp it twice just to get a good impression. But that happens sometimes when you're using stamps that are new, so that's no big deal. But yeah, so I wanted to share that with you because I was just so happy for him. I was just so happy for him. So I'm glad that everybody got to be there and kind of see it, and that he knew that he had all this like love and support behind him. And I remember when I was when my ex-husband and I had decided to get divorced, and I was very apprehensive about the effect that it would have on our child. Obviously, I mean, I think any parent who is deciding to dissolve a marriage is concerned about the effects that it's going to have on their kids, of course. But I had shared this with my oldest sister, and she said to me, hopefully if you can move on and Craig can move on, and I think that Nathan will only benefit from having more people who love him, which I think is true. And I am so very, very grateful that we have this co-parenting relationship where both of us can be present for this moment in his life. And like even afterward, like I started getting like I said, I started getting teary eyed, and, Craig was like, yeah, I know. He was like, I was so worried it was never going to happen for him. And so like, just for us to be able to have this co-parenting with, Eric there and Eric's family there, and my family, and, like I said, Craig's parents have come to the games, and for just all of us to be able to just show up in nothing but love for our son, I'm just so super grateful. Like it really, there are so many people who cannot do that, who cannot, for some reason or another, get it together for their kid, and kind of, let it be all about them. And I'm just very grateful that we are in a position, where everybody just puts Nathan first. So here, just kind of gluing everything down. I decided to glue, these are the clouds from the Rainbow Wishes set, and they actually, when they cut an outline and they cut the inside. I'm just using the inside, I'm not using the outline. I've used the outline also in other cards, but this time around I decided not to. But I'm gluing them to the rainbow so that it would be much easier to kind of pop everything up at the same time. Also, these foam pieces are going to help my clouds stay adhered well to my rainbow. So I'm just going to put some foam tape on that. And I had already glued down the sun so that the rainbow will be popped up over top of it. And then I'm also going to pop the little mouse up on foam as well, just so those are kind of the same level. But yeah, I think this is such a cute card, and I'm probably gonna end up giving it to Peanut for St. Patrick's Day, you know, with like his little treat or whatever. Because I don't really, I mean, I don't send any cards. Who are we kidding? Let's not pretend to be people we aren't. I'm not a card sender. That's not really my thing. I'm a card maker, but I don't ever take them anywhere to do anything, you know, or make other people happy, which I should, but I don't. So to add even more glitters, I decided to glitter just the inside of the sun, just like the little half moon. And then I'm going to take those same Stardust stickles after I coat the whole rainbow in shimmer pen. Now I grabbed my empty one. Why am I keeping the empty one, you might ask? Eric would say it's because I'm a hoarder. It's not because I'm a hoarder. I kept the empty one because you can fill it with water and watercolor with it and get the shimmers. And I'm going to do that in another video. So there, husband. That's why I'm keeping it, because you know he watches all these videos. He knows I'm talking directly to him. But so I did all the shimmers on the rainbow and on the clouds, and then I'm going to go back in with that Stardust stickle. Now I could fill them all in. You know, I would encourage you to do that because filling them all in would make everything glittery. But because I have the radiating glitter and I have the glitter in the sun and I have the shimmers, I decided I was just going to do one little line of glitter on each one of the half moons. And then I was going to say that it was good to go. So yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the whole card. Oh no, I'm lying to you. Lies. I did go in, you know, I don't like that white outline. He, I don't like it. So I did go in with my same, kind of Copic markers that would match and just fill in around my little mouse. I realized that when you look at it up close, you can still obviously tell that it's a die cut because it's popped up, but it does help it blend in a little, and I gave him a little shadow under his booty to help him blend into the scene a little bit better, and then that is in fact the whole card. So thank you guys so much for visiting. I hope that you are inspired by something as I was inspired by Heather to make this card, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.